If you can name a popular act right now, what do you think of? Come on, show me something else. Bah, forget it. This duo has been going on since the 1980s, and so far they've been doing pretty well for a change. In this retrospective, we will go over the band's rise in popularity and how they've come to be. This is a retrospective on the Pet Shop Boys.
Did someone say Littlest Pet Shop?
No.
Oh no! I must be in the wrong place.
The year was 1981. Syth-Wave went mainstream. Acts such as Human Week and Duran Duran kept staying on the charts. Human Week's Ways album Dare had just gotten to number 3 in the US and number 1 in the UK by the end of 1981. However, in 1981, while working in a hi-fi shop, Neil Tennant met Criswell. Tennant had purchased a Korg SM10 synthesizer, which sparked a conversation with Rowe. Discovering they had a mutual interest in dance and electronic music, they began to work together on material. First in Tennant's flat in Chester, then from 1982, a small studio in Camden Town. They said their band name was taken from France, who worked in a pet shop in Ealing, and was known as the Pet Shop Boys. In August of 1983, Tennant, who was an assistant editor at Smash Hits magazine, went to New York to interview State. While there, he arranged to meet high-end R&G producer Bobby Orlando, who gave him a demo tape containing It's a Sin and opportunities for to make lots of money. After getting the green light from the producer, they were going to release 11 tracks between late 1983 and early 1984. In April of 1984, the Orlando-produced West End Girls was released, becoming a club hit in Los Angeles and San Francisco. On the 2nd of November of 1984, it was voted Scream of the Week by listeners of Long Island radio station WLIR. It was a minor dance hit in Belgium and France, but however, listeners in England had to import the thing as it wasn't available in the United Kingdom. In March of 1985, after long negotiations, the Pet Shop Boys cut their contractual ties with Bobby O, with a settlement giving Bobby O significant royalties for future sales. After hiring manager Tom Watkins, they signed with the London-based Polyphone label, which was the same label that released the Beatles in the UK. In April, Tennant left Smash Hits magazine, where he had progressed to the position of deputy editor. And in July, a new single, Opportunities with It's Making Lots of Money, was re-recorded. However, it did not sell well, only reaching 116 in the UK. Unintimidated by the world chart position, the band returned to the studio in August to re-record West End Girls, with producer Stephen Hughes. Released in October of 1985, this new revision initially entered the charts at a similarly low position, but began a slow rise by January of 1986 and achieved the top spot. It subsequently went number 1 in the United States, Canada, Finland, Hong Kong, Lebanon, Israel, New Zealand, Norway, and sold an estimated 1.5 billion copies worldwide. It remains the most heard Pet Shop Boys song to date. When they released it Please on the 24th of March of 1986, critics praised the album. According to the duo, the album's title was chosen so people that had to go into a record store and said, "Can I have the Pet Boys' album, please?" Please started a Pet Shop Boys for choosing one of the album titles, which Neil Tennant has now called a signature thing. 1987 started with the Pet Shop Boys receiving both a Brit Award and Ivor Murrow Award for West End Girls. Later, on the 15th of June, they released what became their second #1 single, It's a Sin. The video to It's a Sin saw their first collaboration with director Derek Jeetman. When their second album actually was released in September of 1987, critics replaced the album. As for its charts though, while the album stalled at number 25 in the US, it did alright in the UK, reaching number 2. To end off 1987, they would get their third #1 single in the UK with Always on My Mind. Now released it as a single on the 30th of November, it became the duo's third #1 single in the UK and the Christmas #1 single for 1987. 1988 would see the release of Retrospective. When released on the 10th of October 1988, critics would be positive to the album once again. As for the charts though, while the US charting continued to stall, it only got to number 2 in the UK. However, unlike other albums at the time, this was only a 6-track album. Shocking, I know how it sounds, but oh well. 1989 would also see the start of the Pet Shop Boys' first tour ever, in which they performed in Hong Kong, Japan, and Britain. The tour followed the ideas of their extravaganza that could not have been afforded earlier in their careers. Derek Jeetman returned to direct the performances, and he provided several films that were projected during the shows. On the 24th of September 1990, a new single, So Hard, was released, reaching number 4 in the UK, and the Pet Shop Boys' fourth studio album followed on the 22nd of October 1990. Titled Behavior, it was recorded in Munich, Germany, with producer Harold Friedmore. The album was intended to reflect a dramatic change in mood from their earlier albums, however, it is noticeably subdued. Including the fan favorites being Bowling, the second single comes from the album, which only reached at number 20 in the UK, the lowest placing at the time. The song was inspired by a quote by Zelda Fitzgerald.
She refused to be bored chiefly because she wasn't boring.
That doesn't make sense. Thanks, Captain Obvious.
And was widely thought to be a commentary on the AIDS epidemic. The music video was directed by filmmaker Bruce Weber. By this time, the duo had also parted ways with manager Tom Watkins, replacing him with Jill Kerrigan, who had previously been marketing the director at Polydor Records. While the album stalled in the US, it did fine once again in the UK, reaching number 2 once again. Before taking a break in 1992, in 1991, the Pet Shop Boys released an 18-track compilation called Discography, which included all their singles up until that point, including 2 new singles, DJ Culture, Was It Really Worth It? It only admitted, How Can You Be Expected Taken Seriously? Although it did appear on the video compilation Videography. While DJ Culture had some success, Was It Worth It became the duo's very first single to miss the UK Top 20 since the 2 Bobby Oak debut singles. In June of 1993, the Pet Shop Boys reinvented their image and made a strong return to the UK singles chart with Can You Ever Forgive Her? While this iconic music video featured the duo in orange bodysuits and tall dance caps in a world of computer-generated imagery, this theme would continue with the follow-up single often considered as their signature song, a cover of the Village People's single Go West, which reached at number 2 in the UK. Without a computer-generated music video, this time inspired by the Soviet Union. The tune was adopted into a football chant of Austin Football Club, which Criswell supports, and is heard at grounds throughout Europe to this day. When the album Very was released on the 27th of September of 1993, critics once again positive on the album. As for its charts though, it was the first ever number 1 in the UK, while in the US it was at number 20. 1996 would see the release of Bilingual. When issued on the 2nd of September of 1996, critics were more positive to the album. With all the singles released from the album reaching to the top 20, it reached number 4 in the UK and number 39 in the United States. Unlike this album in the United States, however, it was not released through EMI in the United States, instead being released through Atlantic Records and through Warner Music Group for the next few years. Three years later, in 1999, they released their seventh album, Nightlife, which created hits such as New York City Boy. When issued on the 8th of October 1999, critics once again praised the album for its visuals, with its hits such as New York City Boy. As for its charts though, it was the first album since Police to miss the top 5 in the UK, only peaking at number 7 in the UK, while sadly in the US it only got to number 84.
Are you ready? Happy New Year early. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy 2000!
2000 had rolled around, and things were changing. For one thing, computers were getting faster, music was changing, and Napster hit the scene, only to be shut down because of...
You violated the law!
Meanwhile, after the release of the previous studio album Nightlife, it was originally planned they would release a greatest hits compilation in the autumn of 2000, with the 2 new tracks, Protective Homeowner and Someone Else's Business, on the album. While recording new songs for the collection, it was decided to produce a full studio album instead, which took 2 years to develop. When issued on April Fool's Day of 2002, critics would be mixed on the album, but that didn't stop them, peaking once again at number 7 in the UK. 4 years later, they released Fundamental. When issued on the 22nd of May 2006, critics once again would be positive on the album. As for its charts though, it did fine in the UK, reaching number 5. God dang, that means we're slowly approaching the end. I will go over all the other 3 other albums, but in quick rundown. Gimme at least 2 minutes. Yes was issued on the 18th of March of 2009. It went to number 4 in the UK and number 32 in the US. Asylum was released on the 5th of September of 2012. It didn't do so well, only peaking at number 9 in the UK. Electric was released a year later in 2013. It did fine in the UK, reaching number 3 and number 2 in its US indie charts. Super was released on April Fool's Day 2016. Critics once again were positive to the album. It went to number 3 in the UK. Finally, Hotspot was released just this year as the time we're narrating this video. So far it's reached number 3 in the UK. And finally, Time! In 2012, they left Parlophone after 25 years with the band. With that, they were going on to release a new label, X2, or Times 2. With that, this retrospective is fully done. But we answer the question, did they actually rise and fall? Partially. In other countries, they usually just fell off the map after 1987, and it's a sin. For the UK, though, they're still going strong. And especially in the United States, they're still going strong pretty well, although they haven't had a top 10 since Please. But is that a bad thing? Not really. The band still is getting hits on YouTube, and even the song Less Than Girls was featured in Grand Theft Auto 5. With that, this is a band that they haven't had a rise and fall, but still keep being on the charts. With that, we ended it here. Thanks for watching, and stay safe, and thank you for watching this retrospective.